We have 5 days to do this project. To make a set of 4 bowls is more like a 6-day, 7-day project, just with the way it should work. So we're going to cut this down just a little bit. And the basics go like this. You're going to spend 5 class periods throwing what you want to take home, up to 4 pieces. You're going to trim them, you're going to clean them up. For some of you, you may do 2 or 3 pieces, trim them up, and then do a lot of carving into one of them and only take 1 piece home. For some of you, you might do no carving and take 3 pieces home. I mean, it just depends on what you want to accomplish. But you have 5 class periods to do it, and you don't get to take home more than 3 or 4 pieces. When I start this, let's see, we have a half an hour. Okay. If I'm throwing a bowl, half of this is about 1.7 pounds, roughly. And that's where I like to throw my bowls at, 1.7 pounds. They make a good soup cereal bowl. Not small, but not huge. Everything you throw has to be thrown bigger. So if you want a 5-inch bowl across, you've got to throw it 5.5 inches, maybe 5 and just over a half. So I'm going to wedge this up. Wedge up 2 of them. We'll do 1 more, just in case. Wednesday, we'll finish off our throwing demo, and then we will start our hand-built demo. Friday, we'll finish that off, and kind of go from there. Okay. There's a scale right here, 3.4 pounds, which is what cut in half? What? 1.7. I know, isn't that cool? So 1.7, roughly. If I was making a bowl set, I do it 2 ways. 1, I throw a ton of bowls and then match them up individually. 2, I started with the exact same amount of clay. And there's a third thing. The third thing is, when I make my bowls, I'll come in and create a little jig. So I'll throw a bowl. Say that's my finished bowl. I create a little jig that then measures that, and then I throw to that spot every time so that I know exactly where they go. But we're not going to get that crazy. Well, maybe you are. Okay. So requirements, 5 class periods. I know the difference between people who are working and people who aren't. I can see it. I see your efforts. I hear your questions. People who are working usually have questions. People who are working usually excuse me, are over here getting frustrated a little bit. People who aren't working don't care. Okay, not that big of a deal, but so 5 class periods. You're going to make a bowl, bottle, or vase set. Couple. It can be all bowls. It can be 1 of each. You choose. I'm going to seal that up. I'm going to cone that up. I'm going to bring it down. Just kidding. You can move that stool too. Okay, once I get it down, it's not centered, but I am going to refine it. I'm going to push that in and push it down, push it in, push it down. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple ways to make bowls. But we're going to start by opening this down. Going to leave a little extra clay at the bottom. I like to have a nice thick bottom, so I can trim a nice thick foot in there. I like my bowls to stand, so they're standing up. I know that my next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to have them hang like a TV here so you can see what's going on. That has nothing to do with you, but well, unless you're here next year or the year after, whenever that happens. Okay, so I opened it down, and it already kind of has a little roundness to it. And now, when we make a cylinder, we pull it straight towards us, so we have a flat bottom and a flat side, right? Well, we're going to start to make our bowl right now. So I'm going to pull it towards me, and as I do, my thumb is going to start to lift up. Before, my thumb just sat there. But it's going to start to lift up, and then I'm going to swoop up. So my inside fingers are going to swoop. I'm going to pull this towards me a little bit, get some momentum, and then start to lift up as I swoop up into the rim. Always stop right below the rim and then just hold there with very little pressure. I'm going to take my water out. So if you can see in there, it's already starting to be a bowl. It already has this round shape to it. Okay. Now the outside has tons of clay, and it's pretty much straight up and down. It could be at a slight triangle shape, but it's pretty much straight up and down. Now I'm going to add some water here. My left hand is going to go on the inside with my thumb on the outside. Now, a couple of things that we practiced. Remember when we practiced holding our hands like this? Well, it's really important to get a cylinder, but it's the best shape to make a bowl because I'm going to be able to move out and up, just like this. So I'm going to pinch at the bottom. So I squeeze, grabbing that clay. You see how there's a little hump there? Grab that clay. I'm going to move over and out. Now my inside hand wants to swoop. My outside hand wants to create a triangle. Triangles are strong. So over, lift that up, like so. You see how the outside is at a triangle? The inside is still a bowl shape. It's really weird. This math last class period wasn't causing me any problems. Anyway, I'm going to do that one more time. Now, I want you to look. Is that a bowl? You don't know what to say. You're like, yes, no, yes, yes, no. It's a bowl. It's a perfectly fine bowl, just with a lot of clay at the bottom. Okay, and I want you to keep that in mind for just a second. So we're going to pull one more time, grab that clay, move over. I'm supporting it with my right finger on my outside hand. And I moved over and out. We want our hands to move together. That's why we practiced lifting up with our hands together, not doing this. Remember, did I change that on anybody when you were trying to pull your bowl or your cylinder up? But you can actually move your hands together like this. Okay, that's a good looking bowl. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to use our rib. So, tips and techniques that will make your life easier start right here. I took the water out, okay? No matter what my shape is, no matter how big my bowl is, take the water out. Next is you're going to rib it. Remember when we practiced ribbing on our cylinders? Okay, at least I asked you to. Well, now it's going to come in handy. So I'm going to hold this with my left hand, and it's going to come in at the bottom, and it's right where it transitions down. It's going to hit and bend. I'm holding it way down here, middle finger, index finger, thumb on the back side. I always use my left hand because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. If I use my right hand, I can't see what's happening. So I'm gonna come in here, it's gonna hit and bend. And then I like to move it to the middle, that helps compress it. Okay, takes a little bit of clay off. So you can see that, like so. And I'll put this up on Google Classroom if you want to go watch it. All that good stuff. Now, I'm going to push back out. I'm going to widen it just a little bit, but I'm also going to add just a little bit of a shape down at the bottom. So right now my inside is looking really good, but watch as I push out just a little bit. It starts to round, and then I'm going to start to lift that up. Very light pressure. Okay, so we kind of have that nice roundness to the bottom. Now, remember how we talked about, at least I think we did, talked about this being an elastic band, a rubber band. As I'm pushing this, do you see how far I can stretch that? If I just let go, it wobbles. So always let go slowly, always. Okay, next thing that will make your, we're gonna rib the outside. So my flat side is going to wrap underneath on the outside. So you do it right here, but I'm going to show you out here. So you're going to bend it. It's going to just slowly wrap around and compress that. I'm just supporting the inside just a little bit. I'm not trying to get rid of marks. I'm trying to compress the clay. So drying it and compressing it will make your life easier in just a minute. Okay. Next thing, I have a paper towel, and I have some there already, but you're going to clean up the rim. You're going to take a piece of paper towel, just a strip like this, and you're going to fold it in half. Okay, and the fold goes towards you. I'm going to dip this in the water. I'm going to just get rid of the excess. I'm going to start my wheel. The fold's towards me. I'm going to hold it with my thumbs. And I'm just going to gently press on my rim. Now this is a little thinner than normal for me. I usually don't make my rims that thin. I don't know what I was doing. But anyways, I'm pressing that down. This will do three things for you. Makes it strong. A round rim holds glades better, and it just looks better than something that's not cleaned up. We also use paper towels because if by accident they get put in the pug bucket, it sucks, but it's not that bad. Where a lot of potters will use plastic, or they'll use like a leather chamois to clean that up. Okay, next thing. Remember when we used the wood knife and we pushed it straight down to get rid of that skirt, that extra clay at the bottom? So we're going to do the same thing, but with this wood rib. And we use a wood rib on a bowl because it's going to stick underneath there and not really hit our bowl. So I want you to watch. If this is my clay, I don't start here because that's just going to peel it up. What I'm going to do is come halfway in and separate it. Okay? So watch what I'm doing. I'm holding it. I'm going to come in. I'm going to separate that, push down. It's going to rub a bunch. I'm going to clean that up. There wasn't a whole lot of clay there. Next one I throw, I'll make sure I leave extra clay. If you do not cut that skirt off and you go to pull this up, it's going to act as a suction cup, and then you're going to taco your bowl. You're going to try to pull it up, your bowl's going to collapse. And as funny as that is, it's not real funny. I don't know, maybe it's funny. Is it funny? Okay. Yeah? Okay. All right. Now, do you see how dry my bowl looks? It's not shiny at all. That'll help with the next step. Now the next step is this. We go and grab a board. Okay, there's plenty of boards. If there's not, there's probably some on your shelf. Grab a board first. You might want to turn your wheel off. You never know what your neighbor is going to do. Clean your hands. Find a wire tool. You've ribbed this, it's dry, and now we're going to take it off. So, just going to wrap this around my index fingers. I'm going to push down with my thumbs. I'm going to push straight down, pull towards me. And as I pull towards me, my elbows are going to move out. That keeps this tight. If I keep my elbows in, see how that wire kind of bends? If I keep my elbows out, it'll stay tight. If we were talking old school, we'd say taut, or if we were talking scouts. Anyone ever hear that in scouts? Keep the rope taut. Do people use that anywhere else? But scouts? No? Okay. You can do it spinning or not. I like to do it spinning. So I'm just going to start here, and I'm just going to pull towards me. And it's cut through. Now my hands are dry. If they're not, wipe them off. And I'm going to use 2 big C's. And then these are my stabilizers. I'm going to reach at the bottom. Now, make your life easier. If right now is when you go to get your board, you're going to have to cut it again. Okay? Because the clay is going to sit down. So I'm going to hold down at the bottom. I'm going to twist. So I'm going to grab at the very bottom. I'm going to twist. Then for me, my right thumb is going to pop up. So I'm going to twist and pop. If you don't commit, you're going to feel like it's going to collapse, but it won't. So you come here, you twist, and you pop. And that should just pull right up. But that bowl is dry. I'll show you on the next one what happens when it's not dry. Or not as dry. Okay, we're going to seal this up. We're going to cone it up. I'm going to bring it down. And after this one, I'm going to show you how to make a bowl out of a cylinder. Oh, this clay wants to fight. Okay, I'm going to open it. I'm going to slow down. I tend to speed up when I'm excited about stuff. So I'm going to pull towards me. I'm going to swoop. I'm going to lift up. Press on that rim. Now, remember this is a bowl, right? And let's say that your next move, every time it starts to flop. Okay, it's probably because you're pushing out too far and then lifting up and not coming at a gradual curve. But whatever it is, let's say you're on your second day and you haven't saved a bowl yet, trim this sucker up. We'll just take that clay off and then you can trim this up. It'll be great. Make a nice little yogurt bowl. Okay, but we're gonna pull this out. Okay, we're gonna rib this. And again, I'm gonna push that in, let it bend, move to the middle, move back out. I'm not trying to do too much to it other than just take off some of the basic, oh, that's still wet. Take that out. That'll be fine. Okay, because this one, I told you I'd leave wet. You see how there's extra clay down there? Okay, it comes down like this. A lot of you will have a lot more than that, and that's fine. We can trim that up. But I want to show you this real quick. It's wet, and I didn't clean that up. Okay, that came up way too easy. But do you see how it bent? I'm going to put that back down. Also kind of tacoed. Okay, we're gonna clean that up though by pushing up here. And is that 15 minutes? Wait, 10 minutes. Yeah. Clean it up. Okay, it's drier. When you lift it up, there's an interesting thing about clay. When you, I didn't go get another board. When you set it down, if you drop it just a little bit, it'll go back to pretty close to round. Not always, sometimes it doesn't, but it'll be okay. So, this guy is gonna go over here. So let's say you're still struggling, we've talked about it, but you do know how to throw a cylinder. So let's throw a cylinder, then we'll turn it into a bowl. Now, throwing the way I just showed you makes it so you have a nice round bottom, okay? And that's the way I like to throw bowls. That's the way it's the way I like them. And when I'm throwing a bowl, that's how I do it. But there's people who do it this way as well. But they're gonna have more of a flat bottom bowl. Okay, we're gonna make a cylinder. And I think I'm gonna make this a little thicker too, because it's an awful lot of clay. So I'm gonna pull this into a cylinder, right? Take the water out. You see how my bottom's flat? Okay, I haven't started a curve at all. I'm gonna lift this straight up. You know how to throw a cylinder. Let's go with that. So, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my rib. I'm going to clean out my... If there's something that's not making sense, make sure you're telling me. We're also going to do this a little bit on Wednesday. And I can cover things again. Kind of like throwing, right? We showed you, you watched videos, then you put it into practice and you're like, had nothing to do with what we just learned, right? You started touching the clay and you're like, this is different, right? And then you kind of got a hang of it. And then when we started talking, it kind of made a little more sense. At least I hope it did. Same thing applies here. You'll start making a bowl and you're like, I swear I was listening. I swear I took good notes, whatever. And you start to do it and you're like, oh. So I'm going to use this part right here. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to push out just a tiny bit. And I'm just going to tilt, just like that. Push just a little bit, and I'm going to tilt outwards. And you can make a bowl, just like that. And that is a perfectly acceptable bowl. Well, it will be when I get done cleaning it up. And clean up my rim. Clean up underneath. We could turn this into a decorative bowl. kinds of fun things you can do. And again, what you do with your pieces is perfectly fine. Some of the things that you want to make sure that the rim is pretty cleaned up, that the foot is cleaned up, then you have a bowl shape. This sucker right here is bound to go to someone's grandma's house with some Skittles in it or something. Right? Let's do this real quick. This is pretty dry, but we'll talk about trimming just a little bit. Not so much today. We only have a few minutes. I'm going to go deeper into trimming. And actually, I'm going to pull out a device that I've never pulled out for Ceramics 1. I don't even think I pull it out for anyone. That'll help you trim, but I only have one of them. That's the problem. So we'll talk about that later. But remember, we just threw these right. And they're a little bit thick, like so. That's a little bit thick. I'm going to take a trimming tool, this guy right here. And again, I'll go over this more in depth. But we can trim off some of that chunk, that extra clay. This guy's getting dry. That's a foot right there. That's a tall foot. That's a dry bowl. This is a cut-in foot. And that's how I do almost all my bowls. Is got a little wobbly there. But I want my bowls to look like I just took a ring and stuck it on there. That's kind of what I'm going for. And there's a few things in life that I do really well. This probably isn't one of them today, but I rush things really well. But anyway. I'm just like trimming on this thing. Let's just pick up where we need to on Wednesday. We'll do bottles. Is anyone interested in bottles and vases? Yeah? Okay. We'll talk about bowls, bottles, and vases again. We'll start on our hand-built. Find your mugs if you can. Put them on your shelf.
I won't be here Wednesday, so I'll just watch the demos online. Yeah. Wow, that got excited.
Yeah, man.